Welcome to Government Contracting Weekly, sponsored by AOC Key Solutions Incorporated. Government Contracting Weekly is the only television program devoted exclusively to the competitive and dynamic world of government contracting. A world where coming in second place is not an option, but where principle-centered winning is the only approach.
Good morning and welcome to Government Contracting Weekly. I'm Jim McCarthy, the owner of Key Solutions and the host of this show. Having spent decades in the government contracting community, it never ceases to amaze me at how many myths surround the area of proposals. In today's show, we're going to make every effort to bury these stubborn myths once and for all. Helping me with this daunting task are three of my colleagues from Key Solutions. First, I'd like to welcome Shelby Rudd, the Vice President of Operations from AOC Key Solutions. Good morning, Shelby. How you doing?
Thank you for having me this morning, Jim.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Next, I'd like to welcome back to our show, Ken has been on our show before, Ken Schutz, the Senior Vice President at AOC Key Solutions. Ken,
thanks for having me.
Good. And finally, and last but not least, Lauren Lamarche, the Executive Corporate Coach and Marketing Proposal Specialist at AOC Key Solutions.
Thank you, Jim. I'm excited to be here.
Good morning, Lauren. All right, panel, we've got a lot of myths to sort of get right to, so let's start it, okay? So first question is for you, Shelby. Give us one you think are the most persistent myths that haunt our community.
So one that I can think of, and it comes up when I've worked with almost all of our clients, is how many questions they should ask to clarify the RFP and what kind of questions they should ask. And I usually advise our clients that they should only clarify the essential things that they need clarified and not ask everything in the RFP.
Because they may not,
right.
They may not like the answer to some questions, or
Exactly.
it may provide the competition with data that it didn't already have, right?
Right,
Yeah.
and that's what I try to advise them, but the myth is that everything must be clarified.
Got it. Okay, Ken, how about your favorite?
Well, the low-hanging fruit is always that you have to cover every shall statement in a statement of work when you write a proposal. And
you don't buy that? You don't buy
that's really false. I think the key message is that you've got to follow the instructions of the RFP.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the readers really want to know that you're going to brush your teeth, if that's what's in the scope of work.
Yeah, right.
So sometimes it gets really silly in trying to cover all the statement of work, particularly when you've got, let's say, a 20-page technical proposal and a 50-page statement of work.
Yeah, I've always often wondered why that happens like that. But Lauren, what's your one prevailing myth that you like to bring out?
The bane of my existence has been that anyone can write to an RFP, and that if you don't have a SME, it's okay, just Google it and you'll find the answer. And that's just not the best approach to take.
Okay, let's ask a question maybe about red teams. We all love red teams. I will make an assertion and I want you all to react to it. It is possible for a red team to evaluate an entire proposal, score the proposal, and make recommendations in less than 5 hours. True or false?
Personally, I think the goal of a red team is to act as if they were the government evaluators. Yeah. And as we all know, it often takes government evaluators weeks, months, sometimes years to evaluate a proposal. So
why does industry think that you can get a bunch of red teamers sitting around a table and in a half day they can knock it out and they've done a good job? To me, that's a myth.
Right. I think it's a persistent myth, and I think it leads to lower quality proposals as a result.
Yeah. Another myth that we hear is that compliance, okay? So here's the question for you, Ken. Is the government so fixated on compliance that they would rather throw a bidder out than accept an otherwise, say, technically superior or low price? What's your feeling about that myth?
Well, as we often tell our clients, that compliance is 75 or 80% of the score.
Yep.
And so I think compliance is a very high benchmark that you need to achieve in writing a proposal, but I have not experienced a case where a bidder's been thrown out because they've missed something from a compliance point of view. Has anybody else?
I don't have that experience.
You never had that?
So I think it's a matter of trying to be as clear as you can as being compliant, but at the same time making sure that you cover the things that are going to sell your proposal. So there might be some low-hanging items that you might leave out for higher value targets that are things that the government really wants.
Here's an interesting question, philosophical question, Lauren, is you think it's better for a contractor to make the competitive range and then lose, or is it better for a contractor just to lose and never even be in the competitive range? Isn't it in some ways better, if you're not going to win it, not to even be in the final four, so to speak?
I don't know. I do think that there are some advantages to bidding and in getting your, especially if it's a new market and you're trying to penetrate a new area. I don't think that that's to your disadvantage.
That's right.
The only way I respond to that is you can't win if you're not at the table.
Right.
Right.
So I think it's getting in the competitive range is your first objective.
It is your objective.
And
yes.
then once you're in the competitive range and you get clarifying questions and issues from the government, that gives you another opportunity to
Spend more
sharpen
money.
your message.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Spend more
spend more
money,
money, but
yeah.
but it gives you the opportunity to win.
Right.
Well, let's ask this question. True or false, it's proper best practices to put your least experienced writer on resumes. Your reaction to that? What do you think, Shelby?
Oftentimes I found that resumes are one of the more important areas in the evaluation criteria, and even if they're not the most important, they represent the people that your government customer has to work with every single day.
Right.
So while an inexperienced writer may be able to write a good resume, I think it takes at least an experienced reviewer or someone who is a specialist in being able to tie the resume to Section L, Section M, the PWS or SAO to really make that resume sound like it's going to be the right person for the job.
Right. Well, and resumes could be absolutely critical in a win. Here's a question for you, Lauren, is that some people say that the evaluation boards are looking for reasons to select you. Has that been your experience?
No, they're looking for reasons to cast you out because
Okay.
they've got, well, especially in the competitive market now where there's so many people responding to the same RFP, the fewer they have to read, the easier it is on them. So no, they're going to be looking for all the reasons to toss you into
So
the
it's
trash
just
can.
the opposite.
Absolutely.
But
I
that
believe
ties
that.
right into the compliance question because, you know, my belief is most of them have a checklist and they are really looking to check things off. Before they really determine the value of your responses, they want to make sure your response is there.
Right.
So compliance is key to make sure that you get the check marks so you
got
don't get cast out, I think.
Okay, well, we're going to pause for a brief commercial break and we'll be right back.
So did we win that government contract?
We did.
And?
And now we've got to deal with the regulatory hurdles.
Well, good luck with that.
When the government's your client, you need to play by their rules.
Ah, and the rules change more than you think.
Exactly. We need someone who's done this before. Plus, it's complicated, so we're going with BDO.
BDO.
People who know government contracting know BDO.
AFCEA has been bringing government and industry together since 1946. By joining AFCEA, you will reach the decision makers and become part of the discussion. You'll increase market visibility, gain market insight, receive discounts on AFCEA member services and events, and manage and engage corporate associates. AFCEA is the association of choice. Join today at www.afcea.org.
Questions. Do you lack win strategy, themes, and discriminators? Are you being outmaneuvered by your competition? Did you get a late start on your proposal? If you answered yes to one or more of these nightmare scenarios, we can help. Hi, I'm Jim McCarthy, owner of Key Solutions. We help government contractors win government contracts. And for over 30 years, KSI has helped clients win or retain over $130 billion in government contracts by providing the keys to winning. We assist companies both large and small to enter the U.S. government contracts market or to increase their market shares. We have worked with 87 of the top 100 government contractors and literally hundreds of small businesses. So if you're chasing a must-win contract opportunity, go to our website, aockeysolutions.com, and click on Win. It's a tough market out there. Don't go it alone. I'm here with 3 veterans of the proposal warfare, and they're here to try to tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'm trying to defend myself very meekly, I might add. I'm not being very successful, but we're going to continue to try. Ken, question for you is that the editor, you don't have to worry about typos or grammar or bad writing because the editor is going to fix it. True or false?
It depends on who you're talking to. I will tell that to review teams because I don't want them to be worrying about editing. But writers, authors darn well better be worrying about it because editors don't always, 1, have the time, and 2, they don't pick up everything. So authors need to write quality information and editors smooth it out. But they
so it
do
doesn't
need
let
to
them
worry
off the
about
hook, in other words.
No, it does not let them off the hook. No.
Doesn't do that. Okay. So Lauren, here's another question. I'll make this assertion. Whoever came up with the idea of virtual proposals is a pure genius. Yes or no?
No, not entirely.
Not entirely.
There are advantages, but I would say most often than not, it's to your advantage to have your team in one location, centralized, where they can collaborate effectively. It allows for that brainstorming and the interaction and creative juices flow. If you're virtual, you don't get as much of that. Now, I know for small businesses that don't have the resources to fly people in to do that, there is an advantage.
You can
to
make a
doing
case in that case.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But I don't think it's as strong.
Right.
Yeah, well, another case for being close together is partly selfish from a proposal management point of view. If you don't have eye-to-eye contact, you really can't see what's happening, and you're not always sure that milestones are being achieved.
Well, actually, I bet you can be assured they're not being achieved. How about that?
That's true.
Okay, so Shelby, here's a question for you that I think it's a fairly common myth. Most times the executive summary is not scored. Therefore, why bother to have one? True or false? What's your reaction?
My reaction to that is, I hate to use this phrase, but it depends on the RFP.
It depends. Oh, okay.
Yes, sorry. I'm going to take the easy way out.
That's a cop-out. That's a cop-out. I want a hard, definitive position here. But no, go ahead. Obviously, it depends. Go ahead.
I think that it's important, whether it's scored or not, to include an executive summary or at least an introduction where you can very clearly articulate what you are selling, why you are selling it, and your true value proposition to the government. So whether it's scored or not, you need to include some kind of introduction that truly sums up your solution and why it's important.
So here's a question for you. On the executive summary discussion, do you write the executive summary first or do you write it last? What are your thoughts? Any one of you?
I can tell you some experiences that would tell me to write it last. There are also some people that would believe that should be first, but I've had...
What does Ken Schutz believe?
I prefer to write it in the middle. In other words, I prefer to probably start the executive summary after a pink team and finish it about at the red team. But the problem is, if you do an executive summary too early and you put it in front of reviewers, they'll spend all their time focusing on an unscored executive summary, and they'll never really evaluate the document itself. And so it's a real risk in that case.
Ladies, have you had that same experience? What do you think?
I find sometimes you run into a disconnect with the executive summary and the proposal sections, because oftentimes the executive summary is assigned to somebody who is not as close to the proposal team.
Right. A lot of the executive team would like to write that executive summary, but they're not necessarily the boots on the ground. They're going to be performing the work. And so there's sometimes no communication between those two.
And they may not know the customer or even the strategic approach.
Right.
Okay, here's a question that I think is good to ask, and that would be the only document that some executives on the source board will read is the executive summary. Have you found that to be true or false? Lauren, what's your answer?
That's the only document that they will read. That has not been my experience. I do think that, especially now, as competitive as it is, the government wants to see that you truly do know how to perform the work. They are focusing on the technical.
Here's another one. Here's another one. Okay, go ahead.
I want to extend that because I've actually worked for a client where I believe the only document that the offerer's executive read was the executive summary.
Right.
And they wanted that written before anything else was written.
As a guide.
And it really becomes a publicity piece, and it's of little value. So I think it's really a concern. As far as what the government does, I really don't know. I think in some cases when you have an unscored executive summary and you don't embed it in the scored sections,
Right.
it might not get read.
You can even throw that out more with some of our clients' LPTA bids where it's true that the government does open the price volume first.
Yes.
So even if you have an executive summary, if you didn't have the lowest price, they'll never see it.
They'll never see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a very interesting discussion from my colleagues here. We're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll have some more myths that we will sort of address. Thank you.
AOC Key Solutions and the Government Technology and Services Coalition are pleased to announce that Serco, a provider of professional, technology, and management services to federal, state, and local government, is a 2014 Mentor of the Year Award winner. Nominated by High Tech Services Incorporated, Serco has been formally and informally mentoring high tech since 2007. Together, the firms have bid nearly 20 large contracts, winning half, and were recognized as a DHS Mentor Protege Team Award winner in 2008. Serco assisted high tech with corporate structure, attracting and retaining key members of their leadership staff, achieving a secret facility clearance, and development of their internal policies and procedures. On behalf of GTSC and Key Solutions, congratulations to Serco.
Since 1941, the USO has been lifting the spirits of America's troops and their families. Members of our military continue to make sacrifices and defend our nation. That's why the USO of Metropolitan Washington, Baltimore is committed to serving them throughout their years of service. USO Metro is the way for you to say thanks to our local military members, their families, and our wounded warriors and caregivers. Please visit us at usometro.org.
This is a great business. It really is, Lauren. And I know you're very experienced. So here's a question for you on themes. I'll say if one theme is good, 100 themes must be better. True or false?
Absolutely not.
No?
The more themes you have, the more difficult it is to keep up with that. You've got multiple volumes. It's better to have a few that are consistent throughout all of the volumes than 100 you can't keep up with.
Okay. Has that been sort of your view too, Ken?
Yeah, well, frankly, for most of the service type proposals we write, I don't think anyone that can come up with 5 has got that many that are unique.
Yeah, discriminators as we call them.
Well, yeah, themes and discriminators are in the same bucket. So if you have 100 of them, no one's ever going to know what they were.
Okay, here's a theme, or here's a myth, and that is that proposals should read like novels. Your answer.
Unfortunately, I wish that proposals could read like novels because they'd be a little more interesting, frankly, but I found that some of the best, most compliant, most sales-friendly, if you will, proposals tend to be terse and in the order of Section L and with the evaluation criteria called out very clearly. And sometimes that order doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, you gotta get to the point.
You
if
wonder
you're
why
just
it's written that way.
verbose, it just you lose them.
You know, I've had recent experience on that where a client wants to, an engineer wants to always put their assumptions in the beginning, and the government is called for them at the end.
Right.
And what happens when you try to put together a compliance matrix, it throws it all off, and it just looks ugly, and it's hard for you to find the text that goes with the section.
We can't have it looking ugly.
No,
you can't
no
have
ugly.
it looking ugly.
No ugly. No
People
proposals
can't find
ugly.
a response.
Okay, here's one team. Small business goals are just that. They're suggestions, and you don't have to worry about meeting those things in your actual performance of the contract. True or false?
I think that's false. And in some contracts, you actually have liquidated damages if you don't achieve the small business goals that you committed to in the proposal.
Okay.
It's becoming more and more prevalent now. They want to see that.
Yeah, and the government's moving to put some teeth in it to make
Yes.
sure that these goals are being met.
Absolutely.
True. Okay, here's one for all of you. a winning proposal requires a 99-step process in order to produce it.
I completely disagree with that one. I think each proposal needs to be treated like a project and scoped according to the level of effort and the amount of resources you need.
Absolutely.
There's a huge difference between a 90-day M&O lab proposal and a 2-week, 2-person software development task order.
Right. And you're kind of saying that if you let process overwhelm content, that's a mistake. So that's these 99-step processes you hear about. Here's another one. Production departments, they love working 24/7. So they love to make up for the writers who miss their deadlines. Is that true or false?
Absolutely not.
No?
You could ask our production team that I'm sure if Carla were here right now, she would tell you absolutely not. Do not wait to the last minute. Nobody wants to work those kinds of hours.
In fact, it's my objective to avoid that.
Absolutely.
Because I don't want to be there with them. If they're there, I've got to be there.
Right.
Absolutely.
Except I think I recall a time, Ken, when you left me there while you were somewhere else, and I was doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
No, I know our production team loves Ken's schedules because he doesn't stick them with weekend work.
You do make people adhere to schedules.
Yes.
I think that's absolutely true. Here's one. Proposal sections will be busted into parts and then passed out among the evaluators. Has that been your experience? Is that true or is that false? What do you think?
Well, I've never been on an evaluation team. I've heard that said in instructions that the way they describe in section L, they might say don't cross-reference because it won't be seen by other people. So sometimes yes, sometimes no. I don't think it's a hard and fast
I
rule.
don't buy it. You know why? I think because an evaluator who says to himself, I'm not going to read the whole proposal, but I'm going to make an award, it's almost negligent. Anyway, we're just about out of time here. I wish we could continue doing this for another 3 hours, but maybe we can have all of you back at some point. And what we're going to do now is break for a commercial, and when we come back, I want to get some final thoughts from each of you. Okay?
Okay.
In this hyper-competitive marketplace, as a federal government contractor, now more than ever, you need to identify, track, forecast, and analyze opportunities that will help you grow your company by better positioning yourself to win contracts. I'm Jamie Bratton, the founder of Easy GovOps, and that's our mission. Utilizing the most intuitive market intelligence platform, Easy GovOps, enables contractors of all sizes to manage their pipeline, collaborate, and team like never before. Experience for yourself the power available to you and your team with a 5-day free trial period with no commitment necessary to begin. Simply visit easygovops.com to start your free trial today. Join the hundreds of other federal government contractors who are enjoying the ultimate competitive advantage of our unequaled market intelligence. Just spend one free week at easygovops.com and see for yourself.
As you've seen from watching our show, we've begun to produce and air commercials. And the response from prospective advertisers has been very strong for a couple of really smart reasons. First off, advertising in Government Contracting Weekly has virtually no waste. Our audience is made up almost exclusively of contracting executives and procurement officers. If that's your target market, we've got you covered. Secondly, we include commercial production within the reasonable cost of an advertising schedule. And even better, in producing your commercial, we utilize the 30-plus years of experience of Key Solutions, who've helped their clients win over $130 billion in contracts, in part by scoping out and refining the most impactful message. If you'd like to learn more, contact us at governmentcontractingweekly.com and click on Advertise.
The Veteran Institute for Procurement was established to arm our vets to win in the federal marketplace. VIP is a comprehensive educational training program for veteran-owned businesses, and it's working as graduates add jobs and grow revenue. The program is funded entirely by the Montgomery County Chamber Community Foundation and is offered entirely at no cost to participants. To learn more, please visit our website at nationalvip.org.
Final word, one takeaway. Lauren.
that proposals do not have to be a miserable experience. You can actually, if you remain flexible, make them somewhat fun.
Well, where's that written? Where do you see that? Huh?
It's personal experience, John.
Okay. Ken, what's your one thing?
Well, I agree with that one, but I would say the one thing that I bring out of this is the biggest myth is that you're writing a novel, and people really need to pay attention to what the RFP says and respond to it accordingly and sell their strongest points.
So it's a selling document, not just a technical
Absolutely.
document, right?
Absolutely. It's a selling document. You've got to win.
Yeah.
You've got to sell to win.
Oh, I agree. Okay. Okay, Shelby, what's your one thing?
Jim, I'm going to change your rules a little bit.
Who said? That's not in your contract.
No,
Oh,
not in
okay.
Section L, but I like to dispel these myths at the beginning of the proposal process by level setting the team and making sure everyone understands their roles, their responsibilities, and the schedule moving forward, just to make sure that we can easily jump some of these myths that are truly just myths.
Right, so you want to get that ingrained from the very beginning and not let those myths hang around the proposal center for very long.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably true. And there are some myths. This is a tough business, yes? It's a tough business. And sometimes it's tougher than it has to be, like you were saying.
It is.
And you actually had fun once, right?
I have fun as I'm, yes, I've made it a mental point to get in that zone so that it can be a pleasurable experience, yes.
Ah, yes.
And to be in the business, you've got to like it.
Yes, that is absolutely true.
Yeah.
So I assume that all three of you like it. I'm going to be writing this down. So
Otherwise, you're going to be out on 66 standing in traffic waiting to, get out of your misery.
Well, I've had fun today. I hope you all have.
We did.
Yes,
Yes,
very much.
absolutely,
Okay.
Jim.
Okay, well, killing a myth, it's not for the faint of heart, but I hope that this morning's discussion helped to set the record straight once and for all. And I want to thank our panel for joining me this morning. First, Lauren Lamarche. Lauren is Executive Corporate Coach and Marketing Proposal Specialist at AOC Key Solutions. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you very much. Next, we have Ken Schutz, the Senior Vice President at AOC Key Solutions. Thank you for being here again, Ken. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And finally, Shelby Rudd, the Vice President of Operations from AOC Key Solutions. Thank you as well, Shelby.
Thanks, Jim. Had a great time.
Good, good. But most importantly, I would like to thank you, our viewers, for once again making Government Contracting Weekly a regular part of your learning regimen. So now, on behalf of all my colleagues at Key Solutions, I'm Jim McCarthy, and we'll see you next week.
You've been watching Government Contracting Weekly, sponsored each week by AOC Key Solutions Incorporated. Government Contracting Weekly is the only television program devoted exclusively to the competitive and dynamic world of government contracting. For additional information, comments, questions, or suggestions, please write us at governmentcontractingweekly.com.